Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's Tactical Tuesday. And today we are diving into Burnley versus Liverpool at Turf Moor, a game of patience, frustration, but of all things awesome. And so that's where we're going today. We're going to be looking at what happened. A 95th minute penalty was needed in order to break the stalemate. And so we're going to be looking at what this means from a tactical perspective. Let's set the stage. Liverpool came into this one playing beautiful, unbeaten, dominant possession football under Arne Slot, making sure that they make the most of all of the matches where they've had. Now, Liverpool have had a couple of games where they scored very, very late in the match, but I think that is to be expected as they are kind of building this momentum throughout the season. They're taking it slowly, but they're making sure that they are maintaining possession. That is the important thing, where in the past, Liverpool had this high impact, high octane type of football where they were knocking the ball about, holding that possession and slowly moving up the field. Now it is more of holding on to the ball for longer spells, slowing the tempo of the game and then bursting forward. That's what we see a lot of from Liverpool in this part of the season. Now, Burnley, on the other hand, newly promoted, and we knew that they were going to play with a low block. They were going to lay back. They were going to put as many bodies behind the ball as they possibly could and just defend, just hold on. I think that is a tactic that Scott Parker has implemented at Burnley just to keep attacking teams at bay. And I think here, what we were in for was definitely a classic match. Liverpool's attack versus Burnley's low block and defense. And that's exactly what we got. We got that. Liverpool, of course, using that gradual, slow build up to put a lot of pressure on Burnley, and Burnley laying back, just waiting for that attack to come onto them. Definite classic in terms of attack versus defense. Liverpool lined up a flexible 4-2-3-1 formation, just allowing themselves a bit of running room against Burnley. Now, the double pivot was definitely back in the spell in this match, and it was brilliant to see. It allowed Liverpool a lot of fluidity. It allowed Liverpool a lot of control, especially going forward and driving forward, allowing the flanks just to push up a little higher. And I think we saw a variant of that in the second half when Jeremy Frimpong came into the match, and he was able to also push up a lot higher, and Liverpool could overload that midfield and put a lot more pressure onto Burnley. And we could see that the moment Frimpong came on into that match, we saw Dominic Szoboszlai all of a sudden become a lot more available, a lot more fluid in the nearly 18-yard or just before the 18-yard area, and he was able to pull off a couple of shots in the match. And that is, I think, a remarkable tell of what Arne Slot is doing, especially with a double pivot. Now, Burnley, on the other hand, like I said, they remain very, very compact with that low block. They set up a 5-4-1 formation, and they only allowed flexibility for that to kind of turn into a 4-4-1-1 formation, which means that at all times during that match, they had two lines in the bank for any attack for Liverpool. So they only broke that 5-4-1 formation when they went on the counter. But even on the counter, they made sure that they remained compact with 4 and 4 laying back to defense, just in case the counter breaks down and they don't get anything from that and they'd have to, run back and defend. They still had those two lines there to keep Liverpool at bay. And so they kept everything really, really tight in the middle of their box, very, very tight over there, not allowing Liverpool to make in-runs through the middle, pushing Liverpool wide to the flanks. And it is a Very, very smart strategy by Scott Parker. It is something that I think is going to challenge a lot of clubs in the Premier League. It certainly has challenged Liverpool. And Liverpool, of course, having to work very, very hard, having to overload that box of Burnley, and thereby forcing a couple of errors into them, forcing them to make the hard tackles, getting that red card over there, and then also, just forcing all of their bodies back into the box. And that's how Liverpool was able to get that penalty, or from the cross that Frimpong was attempting. It's the arms of Hannibal, and of course, then that leading to the penalty. But I think it is very, very interesting in the setup of both of these teams. Liverpool, of course, with their double pivot coming into play to try and break down or at least tire Burnley's defensive stance. And Burnley, on the other hand, putting up a fantastic defensive stance against Liverpool and remaining disciplined in keeping their shape and formation throughout the match. When, of course, we do look at the statistics, this is where it becomes very interesting and very telling. Just looking at possession in that first half, Liverpool with 78.6% of the ball possession to Burnley's 21.4% of the ball possession. Now, possession lost in the defensive half. Liverpool lost the ball a total of 7 times, with Burnley 32 times they've lost the ball in their own half. But I think when it comes to duels, that is also very telling. In the first half, very evenly matched, 46-46, as well as aerial duels won, both 20 apiece over here. So I think very, very balanced in the first half when it comes to aerial duels that were won. When it comes to fouls that were won, Liverpool, of course, because they were on the attack and Burnley on the defensive all the time, Burnley, of course, having to make defensive challenges against Liverpool, who had the ball, and therefore Liverpool winning 6 fouls to Burnley's 4. Strangely enough, the team who was found offside more in the first half is, of course, Burnley being found offside once. Liverpool with 0 offsides. Corners, of course, Liverpool getting 7 to Burnley's 1. When we look at the second half, however, Liverpool 83.5% of the ball possession to Burnley's 16.5. And over here, when we look at the duels, 52-53 won by Burnley, but I think that's because those deals were won in the box of Burnley on the defensive versus the midfield balls that Liverpool had fought and won. When it comes to aerial duels, once again, evenly matched, 23 and 23, or 23 apiece. But when we look at successful dribbles, for example, Liverpool having 6 successful dribbles into that box of Burnley with 0, meaning that they really didn't offer anything of an attack toward Liverpool that was meaningful in the second half. Corners awarded Liverpool 6 in that second half and Burnley 0 in that second half. Another interesting stat to note is that Liverpool had 27 shots on Burnley's goal versus Burnley's 5 shots at Liverpool's goal. And I think that is very, very telling that this was domination that we had actually seen here, but domination without a breakthrough until stoppage time, that is. And the key moment really came with that red card, because once Burnley went down to 10 men, to just 10, Liverpool really sensed blood. And it allowed them, with the new legs of players like Frimpong coming on, to really just tire Burnley out in that final moments of the game. Now, not only was that defensive line stretched, but Liverpool were able to run at Burnley, and they were able to get into those gaps where they previously weren't able to get into. Now, I mentioned Frimpong specifically because it was the pressure that he had brought on, stretching them wide and then trying to cut in or to cross the ball in, that really led to that penalty. And of course, we know Hannibal on the edge of the box or inside the box, stretching out his arm, ball hitting the arm. And that's how Liverpool got that penalty, which Mo Salah put away with a cold penalty. Absolutely beautiful stuff to see. But this is something that we need to note, because this is the fourth time now that Liverpool have won it in the last 10 minutes of the game. And that tells us certain things. That tells us that this is not luck. This is actually a pattern where Liverpool are doing this. They're going in and wearing down the opposition, making sure that the opposition is tired, that they are relentless in how they attack the opposition, and that it breaks the opposition down. Now, this pattern tells us also that Liverpool have this pattern at their disposal, but it also shows that they've got the endurance that it's needed to play like that for 90 minutes and then still take it to the opposition in the end and still finish off the game. That's very, very important to note. And it also tells us that Liverpool have a sense of fitness within that squad that is unlike anything I think we've seen from them in recent times. Now, this is brilliant to see, and it is a way of Liverpool completely breaking down the opposition, taking the game to them for the full 90 plus minutes, and then securing a win. And this is what they've done, like I've said, for 4 matches. And they've done it again in this last one, and it is absolutely beautiful football to witness. So what have we already learned from a tactical perspective? Well, what we have learned is that against teams who play this low block, patience is going to be vital, but it's also going to be important for us to know when to switch things up, switch up the tempo, and really go hard at the opposition. The second thing that we've learned over here is that substitutions matter, and bringing on substitutions a little earlier. I think Liverpool could have unsettled Burnley a lot earlier in that game had they brought on the substitutions that were at their disposal. Now, we saw a change of tempo, a change of tactics when we had those changes. Chiesa came on, Frimpong came on, Rio came on. When we saw all of those changes happen, we saw a difference in tempo, we saw a difference in movement, and that really unsettled Burnley. And I think that is where the game was really won. And I think if we want to be tactical about this, we're going to have to make changes a lot sooner going forward. The third thing that I think we've learned from this is that mentality matters, and players who believe that they can win play harder for longer periods, and Liverpool did not give up until that goal was scored. And so mentality is a massive tactical advantage, and I think really kudos to Arne Slot for making sure that he had the mentality of the team correct. They were playing, they were pushing really hard right up until the time that they got the win that they were fighting so hard for. To wrap up, Liverpool's persistence showed us that it really pays off. Burnley showed us that, of course, that low block, when executed well, can pay off. But one mistake can be your undoing if that is your only tactic. Now, Liverpool, I think, have shown us that things like depth, things like persistence, things like patience, those are fantastic tactics to take into a massive chess match like this. But what do you think? What do you think about Arne Slot and his tactics and his persistence and perseverance in a match like this means for Liverpool? If you were the manager of Burnley, how would you have set up this team to really keep Liverpool out and at bay? And yeah, I'm keen to hear. Let me know in the comments. Smash a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet subscribed. Journey along. And of course, remember that every Tuesday we break down what had happened in Tactical Tuesdays. And as always, remember, you'll never walk alone.